After the first night I used it, my husband said, I thought you died in the middle of the night
Yeah.
because there was no movement, no sound. And so that was
Hmm.
the very first thing, is that I just didn't toss and turn as much, and I didn't snore. I just didn't make any noise at all. And I just had a more restful night's sleep. So that happened within the first couple of nights.
Very much for jumping on the call today, Pam. This
Yeah.
is super exciting for a couple reasons. I know that you're a big believer in hostage tape, a big hostage tape enthusiast. Plus, you also won the hostage tape all in sleep challenge, which
Mhm.
was a 4-week challenge set to optimize your sleep, going through different things. So this is really exciting to get a chance to talk to you about hostage tape, what it's done for you, and the sleep challenge as well, and kind of what you saw from there. So thank
Yeah.
you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's just jump into it. What led you to look into mouth taping, and then specifically, how did you come across hostage tape, and what led you to buy it?
Actually, I I first knew about like the disadvantages of mouth breathing like about 15 years ago, but didn't really look. I just heard about it. Then a couple of years ago, I started seeing every once in a while, I would see somebody with a little piece of surgical tape on their mouth talking about it, or some other
Hmm.
something. They would use something. And then I had seen it enough to where one of your ads came along and I saw it and I thought, oh, well, that's what all of this is. And so I thought I would try it. And I ordered, I think, a month's supply and tried it. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to be stopping this anytime soon. So I just bought more. So
Right.
what happened?
Fantastic. That's awesome. And what was it that you noticed after buying it? Was there something that you were buying it for specifically? Was it just mouth breathing? Was it snoring? Was it something specific that you bought it for?
Um, my family members have told me that I have started to snore a little bit. Of course, I didn't believe them,
Okay.
but I'm sure it's true. And then I just have always slept on my stomach, like head back, mouth open. I've just always slept that way. And when I heard that it just wasn't healthy, I just wanted to try and see if I could do something about it and if it would actually work. So it was,
Yeah,
something to do.
absolutely. Yeah, I was one of those too, like stomach sleeper, mouth open, and in the morning there'd be like a little bit of drool. I was like, this is
Yeah.
gross. This
Really.
is this is nasty. So I don't do that anymore, which I'm so happy about. You said you bought the 1 month. I'm guessing it was like the money back, the 1 month money
Mhm.
back guarantee. What did
Right.
you notice after the first couple weeks? Like you just mentioned that you were like, I'm not going to quit this. So what did you notice after the first couple weeks of using it?
Well, I can say after the first couple of nights using it, uh, I think I left this as a comment on your Facebook page somewhere that the first morning after the first night I used it, my husband said, I thought you died in the middle of the night
Yeah.
because there was no movement, no sound. And so that was
Hmm.
the very first thing, is that I just didn't toss and turn as much, and I didn't snore. I just didn't make any noise at all. And I just had a more restful night's sleep. So that happened within the first couple of nights.
Right. Very cool. It's crazy to think about how deep of a sleep you can go into
Hmm.
as soon as you eliminate mouth breathing. I know for myself, before I started using hostage tape, I would still get 8, 9 hours sleep, sometimes less, but it was so much tossing and turning that even after that length of sleep, I would still be tired.
Right.
Now I find even if it's shorter, let's say it's only 5.5 or 6 hours,
Hmm.
it's such a deeper sleep that I wake up so much more refreshed. Like it's just crazy how deep your sleep can go. And like your husband said, like he thought you were dead. You're not moving around at all, but just because of how deep your sleep is. It's really crazy to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what was your? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
What was your husband's thought on it? I know, like you mentioned there, he said he thought that you were dead after the first couple
Yeah.
nights.
Yeah.
But what did he think? What did he think when you said, "I'm buying mouth tape. It's hostage tape. It's got a crazy name, but I'm going to give it a shot." What was your husband's reaction to it?
I have been known in the past to be a little bit crunchy anyway, so he just thought it was another one of my crazy things I was trying. And
Right,
I'm trying to
right.
get him to try it, and he's not ready yet. I know he needs it, but I'm sleeping better, so I don't hear him. So that eliminated two problems. But
Yeah,
I'm working on it. I'm working on him.
absolutely. When I get this uploaded to YouTube, I'll send it to you, and then you can show this to him, and then like the whole playlist that we have of all the
Right.
people sharing their stories. So hopefully we'll convince him. I mean,
Yes.
sleep is so important.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. That's hilarious though. That's funny. How long have you been mouth taping for?
I had to look in my app where I bought it, and I think it was delivered on March 28th, and I've only missed one night. It was one of those nights. I think it was during the challenge when we couldn't have screens for an hour before bed. So I was in
Right.
bed and I was just working in a puzzle book, and I just got so tired. I just set it aside, fell asleep, and had a little fleeting thought as I was falling to sleep that I needed to put the mouth tape on. I just was so tired I didn't do it. And I'm kind of glad because it was a little bit of an experiment. It turns out that
Mm-hmm.
even without that mouth tape that night, I still slept. Like I think I'm learning to sleep through my nose. It's not something that I have to have that. I'm kind of addicted to it to make sure that it happens, but I
Yeah.
wasn't aware that I could relearn that.
Absolutely. I've trialed it a few times, leaving it off at night and seeing what happens. And I find it's not as, I don't sleep as well as
Right.
when I have it on, but I find that I'm slowly starting to, I think my body's just retraining itself to just
Hmm.
keep my mouth closed and breathe through my nose at night. So that's cool that you
Yeah.
found that as well. Because ultimately, you want to be doing that without having to think about it.
Hmm.
So it's cool that like you're slowly able to like see that your body is retraining that ability. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
What I know you mentioned that you had a daughter, you're giving her some hostage tape. That was through one of our messaging conversation. But what about your children? Did they think it was just another thing that mom's doing? You said
Hmm.
crunch, you're a little bit crunchy, so
Yeah.
they all just kind of laughed it off. This is something else our mom is doing. Is that what the
Yep.
reaction was?
It was. They just didn't even bat an eye at it. They just thought, "Oh, well, that's weird, but whatever." So, and
Right.
I've mentioned it to them and nobody's interested yet, but I'm still working on them all.
Absolutely. It's tough when you know that there's something out there that's going to help people and they
Hmm.
just don't listen to you.
I
It's
know.
so tough. I know my dad, he's a big snorer. I remember growing up and it would just be he would be snoring so loud. So I've told him about it. I
Hmm.
mean for a year now and he won't budge. He won't budge, but it's so tough cuz I'm like this could change everything. I'm trying to get my mom to convince him, but even
Hmm.
then it's so tough. So tough when you're like this could be so great for you, but you just won't
Hmm.
listen. But that's just the way things go. Let's talk a little bit about the sleep challenge. So we had 100 plus members sign up for the sleep challenge, which was so cool. This was a 4 week challenge where each week you tagged on an experience,
Hmm.
I guess like a sleep hack, we could call it,
Hmm.
along with mouth taping, along with using hostage tape. So for you, what was your thought going into the sleep challenge? What were you kind of thinking? Obviously you signed up for it, you completed
Yeah.
it, which was incredible. What was your thought going into it?
I like a good structured challenge that because I'm kind of a rule follower, and so if I sign up for something, I know that's kind of probably ensure that I do it just because that's just how I am. And so when I signed up for it, I thought, well, I'll finish it because I'm signing up for it and I'll be able to see how it works, how all of these things tagged onto each other will work. And it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was hard. Some of the things were harder than others, but I enjoyed it. I
Mm-hmm.
like a good challenge.
Absolutely. And that's why it's cool, even just being able to click off a box of, yes,
Mhm.
I completed this day. I find for myself, just mentally saying, all right, I can check it off at night. Or when I wake up in the morning, all right, I did those things yesterday. I find that so huge, just such a big motivation. And then, like you said, signing up for it.
Mhm.
What was your, what was the most challenging week for you?
The screen time. I think it
Right.
was for most
Yeah.
people, but yeah, the screen time. I
Hmm.
don't drink a lot of caffeine anyway, late in the day. And then the mouth tape I've kind of established a habit before that. And then what was the other
Right.
one? The number of hours of sleep at night. I don't have a problem with that. so,
Yeah.
so it was
And
definitely
then
the,
the 10 minutes of sunlight within an hour of waking up
oh
was one of
yeah,
the other ones, or
that
within
was,
like the first couple hours.
yeah, I'm fortunate that I just work with my husband at home. And so we have coffee together in the mornings and that wasn't difficult at
Amazing.
all. Yeah.
Amazing. The screen time, the feedback that we got from that one, it's what I had predicted,
Hmm.
but I don't think I had predicted just how hard it was going to be. I know for myself personally, that was so difficult. I was almost left just thinking, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
It was such a weird it
Yeah.
was such a bizarre experience, and all the messages that we got from everyone who was in the challenge, the 100 plus members that were in the challenge, it was just, I'm not sure what to do. What are we going to do? This one is really tough for me. I'm not like, it was just messages coming in of, I'm not sure if I can do it and all those sorts of things.
Hmm.
But I found, like you said, it was just such a good motivation, and knowing that other people out there were doing it
Hmm.
was really helpful. Now, what did you do to replace it? You had mentioned a puzzle in there. So what did you do to replace the screen time?
Yeah, I have these puzzle books that I just had in my house that I like to do every once in a while. I would take them on vacation and stuff for car trips. And I just started doing that. I do sometimes I'll do cross stitch and stuff, but I found that late in the evening, I couldn't really concentrate on that. It did
Right.
make me sleepy faster. The funny thing about it is we like watch our shows or we don't watch a ton of TV, but in the evening when we're done working, we'll sit down and watch something. And
Hmm.
I found myself like looking at the clock thinking, okay, this is going to be over at 9:30, which means I can't go to bed till 10:30 because I
Right.
need to have an
Right.
hour. So sometimes I ended up pushing my bedtime out a little bit so that I could make
Right.
it. And I thought that was funny. Or I would say, I can't watch this because if this is over at 11, I can't stay up for another hour and I got to check that box. So it was that kind of thing for
Right.
me. But
Absolutely. Well, and it's cool just having that extra motivation to say, you know what, I'm not going to watch the show tonight.
yeah.
That's what was your husband behind this? Did he try to do any of the challenges with you? Was he, when you were saying I can't watch this tonight, would he just say, "All right, well that's your thing. I'm going to do it anyways," or did he suffer through
Yeah.
with you?
He's a little bit of a fudger. So he would be like, oh, you can do it this one night. And he'd try to
Right,
talk me
right.
into
Just click it
doing it.
off. He'll never
Yes, yes,
know.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so but I mean, I would stay up if I had to get it in there. So,
Right. Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you got picked. It was funny the way we picked it. So we had a list of names, and I picked three people, but I was like, I'm a little biased because I've seen messages coming in.
uh,
So then I sent it to somebody else. I was like, pick three names, and yours was one of the names that was picked similar to mine. And then I sent it to somebody else. I was like, all right, these are the people that completed it, and I was like, pick three names, and on every single person that picked, yours was the name
oh
that
my
came
gosh.
up. So I was like, all right, this one's huge. And then
Oh,
we just went with so I thought, I was like, all right, this is a sign that like she obviously did a fantastic job. Whatever energy you put out there obviously came through
awesome.
because your name was on all the lists that got picked. So I thought that was really cool. So there you go. Your
Yeah,
husband, who was just saying to fudge it, say, hey, you know what? I won because of
yeah,
the honesty. So that's super cool.
yeah.
We always What I've noticed with talking to people and getting feedback, they say good sleep is a snowball that changes so much.
Hmm.
Whether it's eating better or being more efficient at work, quarreling less in the morning because you're grumpy from not having slept as well.
Hmm.
Sleep is kind of that catalyst that starts all those things. Have you noticed benefits to from wearing hostage tape that you've said like, well, that has definitely changed because I'm sleeping better, or I didn't think that this would happen from nasal breathing. Have you noticed any of those benefits?
Uh, yeah, the thing about the deep sleep, I was not prepared for. Um, some mornings I wake up and it's a different kind of groggy. It's not groggy from not getting enough sleep. It's groggy from coming out of such a deep sleep. It's
Right.
like when you were a kid sleep. Like it's that
Mm-hmm.
it's And that I was a little bit surprised about. And then what's the other thing I was thinking of? I'm dreaming so much more. Like it's been years since I've been able to remember dreams or they've gone all night long, and I just feel like I'm dreaming every night, which is entertaining. I always love that. So,
Right. Absolutely. And I think it's Matthew Walker who speaks about that. He says it's our dream sleep that suffers when we don't go into that deep sleep. And
right.
part of that has to do with like memory and memory storage. So he says if you sleep deeper, you'll notice more dreams.
Hmm.
And but it's also better for your memory as your brain is processing whatever happened through the day. But he
Right.
said when you go from poor sleep to deep sleep, it almost feels like you're living another life because the dreams are so vivid. There's so many of them. They're so frequent. So
Yeah.
that's cool that you've been able to see that.
Yeah.
I have a sleep hack for you. Not too many people I know about use this, but it's called a sunrise alarm clock. Have you ever heard of this?
I have like yeah, I think I've seen some of those advertised. They're real dim and then they get brighter.
Exactly. So I use one. I wake up at 6 a.m. every single day. And every single day I wake up at my alarm is set at 6 a.m., but every single day I wake up at 5:55. And it starts dim at around 5:30 and it slowly gets brighter up until 6. So it's half an hour before your alarm is set, and then at 6 your alarm goes off. But because it mimics a sunrise, your body just slowly comes out of that deep sleep. And after 25 minutes, I just wake up without
Yeah.
my alarm. And it's so peaceful and there's no grogginess. So if you are noticing like a grogginess from that,
Yeah.
I strongly recommend sunrise alarm clocks. I'm not sure what make I have or if there's a brand that's better than
Yeah.
others, but that's something I would recommend. I tell everyone about it. Most people, again, they think they're like, oh, it's another crazy sleep thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
But sunrise alarm clocks, I'd highly recommend it if you're noticing that your alarm goes off and you it's too loud or it's just so groggy. And yeah, sunrise alarm clock, I'd highly recommend that.
Well, I think, and this is funny that you say that because uh, before I won the package, I had I think when I bought my set, it came with the eye mask. And I wasn't
Yes.
really interested in it unless I was going on a trip or something. And then when I got the package after winning, there was another eye mask in there. And so I took another look at it and I thought, I'm going to try this, even though I don't necessarily need to do that. And I think
Hmm.
part of the reason that I was so groggy is that when I woke up, had no idea
Right.
what time it was, what day of the week, any of that. And I usually keep my
That's
window
true.
open a little bit. And so I'm in Tennessee and it starts getting light before 5 and the
Right.
sun comes up really early. And so I think I was used to having like the sun wake me up and all of a sudden I
Right.
turned that off. And so I may save my sleep mask for times when I'm somewhere that like in a hotel room where I can't get it completely dark or whatever.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that
Ex-
was part of it. It was kind of jarring to wake up and not realize that it was fully light outside.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I do. So if I'm out somewhere like a hotel room or something along those lines, that's when I put the sleep mask on. But
Hmm.
in my own house, I know like I have blackout curtains that I use,
Yeah.
and then there's no light getting in, and then the
Yes.
sunrise alarm clock, and yeah, so there's none of that light pollution. But the
Right.
sleep mask is huge for if you're going somewhere else or if you can't get light shut off. That's the
Yeah.
worst. But
And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
worse.
that does make sense then why you're waking up so groggy if you
Yes.
went from natural light to just shutting it all off. That
But
makes
as
sense
far
for
as sleep
sure.
mask goes, that's one of the best ones I've used. It checks off all the boxes because it blocks out
Hmm.
all light. It's comfortable. I can open my eyes while wearing it because it's not pressed up against my eyelids. And
Yeah.
those that's really good. I like it.
Yeah, I find with a lot of them they'll almost get itchy just
Hmm.
because they're squeezing against your eyes or
Yes.
it's very or if you move they kind of like shift and then they hit your eye and it's just uncomfortable. With these ones, they're not squishing your eyes, they're not pressed up
Right.
against it, they're kind of just outlining
Hmm.
and they're just so much more comfortable to use.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this is so awesome. Now, you had mentioned when you won the mouth tape that you were going to give it to your daughter. Is this something that you've done already? Did
I
she say
tried.
no, mom? You try. Okay, all right. So even with her,
Yeah, she
there
tried
was
it.
no getting through it.
Yeah, I think that she probably would need to commit to trying it for a few more nights. She tried it for one night. She was very hesitant. She was like, I just don't know if I
Hmm.
want to, I just don't know if I want to like close off one of my options in the middle of the night. Like it felt claustrophobic to her to have
Right.
her mouth closed. And I said, well, you can still breathe through it if you need to. Like it's not
Hmm.
completely solid. And so she tried it and she was like, it was all right, but it's going to take a little more for me to get her to try it for several days in a row to see a difference.
Yeah, and that's what we find is usually you need to have 3 to 7 days of
Hmm.
trying it before your body kind of relaxes, where you're not resisting it, you're not ripping it off in the middle of
Yes.
the night, even though you don't even realize. And a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize, like, if you want to, and if you're awake, you could still open up like your mouth. You might not be able to like pull the tape off without your hands, but you could still breathe through it. It's just at night when it'll keep your mouth closed, but it's not like your mouth is wired shut or anything. You're still if
Yeah.
you want to, you can still open up your mouth.
Yeah. I found that it just did the job of keeping my mouth closed. It didn't feel super constricting. Now, if I have a cold or something, it's a little bit stressful and I might want to take a break from it if I am having
Right.
trouble breathing through my nose, obviously, but I haven't
Hmm.
done that yet. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Have you told any of your friends about this other crunchy crazy thing that you're doing?
yeah, I talked to some friends in a church group that I'm in, and they, first of all, they had to get past the name. They were like, wait a
Right.
minute. And
Yeah.
I was like, it's kind of a funny thing, but then I explained it to them, and they thought it was interesting. I have two friends in the medical community that I haven't talked to yet, but I know that one of them will be like, tell me more about this. And so I'm excited to talk to him.
Right.
But
That's super cool. Well, I'd love to hear from you when you talk to him. It's always neat talking to different people in the medical world. Some have never heard of it, some
mhm,
fully promote it. Other people they just write it off as this is no, that's not crazy. It's another trend that's going
yeah,
on.
yeah,
But the results, I mean, you can't argue with the results. When you wake up feeling more refreshed in a deeper sleep, you just really can't argue with that.
mhm, yep.
All right. Well, we can end off there. I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so happy that you won the sleep challenge. It's great to hear that you were honest, even though that your husband maybe tried to get you to break it
Yeah,
a couple nights. But
right.
that was always my one worry. I was like, what if someone just checks off all the boxes and submits it and they didn't actually do
Yeah,
it? But that's super cool to hear. And yeah, like I said, your name was the one consistent name that kept getting
that's
picked
awesome.
whenever we asked, like, hey, grab it. So I'm really happy that you won. That's super awesome.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. It's my pleasure because it's been great. I'm thankful for it.